All right, a quick reminder of what happened here. According to a Reserve Bank report by an advocate in 2018, VBS was taking in the money of depositors, some of them poor, some were municipalities that weren't actually allowed to put their money in a mutual bank. But nonetheless, that money was for service delivery. The money was then being used by the executives and to pay bribes to get the deposits in the first place. In the end, when the poor depositors came knocking, there was nothing left. Well, you heard him in that report. To discuss further, we're joined by the spokesperson for the National Prosecuting Authority, Sipho Ngwema. Mr. Ngwema, thank you for being with us. So is Phillip Truter spending his first night in jail tonight? And tell us how easy it was to turn him, as it were.
Good evening, Heidi, and good evening to your listeners and us. You remember when he appeared the first time, he did indicate that he was prepared to plead guilty and he was prepared to enter into negotiations with the state. So unfortunately, of course, he had to go into medical institutions after that. But we have been engaging him. Of course, negotiations are negotiations. He had to get what he thought was best for him. We had to get what we thought was good for us. And in the end, we have settled for an agreement that is good for the case that we are investigating. In the end, we have settled for an agreement that makes sure that he also pays for his part in the cartel. So we are very happy with the fact that he's going to work with us. As I said earlier, it makes it easier for us when we have people inside the scheme who are breaking ranks and are able to enforce our case when we are going on trial. So yes, we have had good negotiations with him, but I think in the end, we got a good settlement for the country, for the of the bank, but also for the interest of the case itself.
So besides his testimony, so you say that'll really help the case, but according to that report, the Great Bank Heist, the theft was quite crude here. Even though bribes or favours were hidden as home loans or car loans, VBS never really cared whether they were paid back or not. So is the evidence strong? Do you have all the statements? Because there was huge disappointment in the Estina dairy farm matter. That didn't go all the way to trial. Will you get more convictions here?
You must remember, we have been asking for the public to be patient because we wanted to act at the time we felt it was the right time to act. We did not want to act under any influence. We did not want to act under any pressure. So this is the kind of investment that we have put in on the case. The Hawks have been very patient. They've been very meticulous in terms of how they are dealing with the case. The strategy is working. You will be aware that the case has got 3 legs. We have got this one of the executives. We have the legs that deals with local government, but also we have got legs that would deal with the political personalities involved in the matter. So all those, they're progressing very well. And I think that at the end of the day, we were able to serve them with an indictment. And that indictment means we're ready for trial. So of course now we have someone who have broken rank, someone who has undertaken to assist the people of South Africa to get to the bottom of this matter. We cannot ask for more. So as they appear tomorrow, the rest of the 7, they will know that one of them has broken ranks and is working with the state, and that is good for the kind of state or kind of case we want to present before the judge.
All right, let's look at the legs that you've laid out. So you have some of the big executives from VBS, you have the former chairperson, you have the CEO, but then you spoke about political connections. Let's go back to the report. The CEO apparently paid $1.5 million to the Dudu Myeni Foundation that was going to help land a huge deposit from the Passenger Rail Association, a 1 billion rand deposit. So there would be something very untoward there. There is no Dudu Myeni Foundation, so a lot of speculation that could be the Jacob Zuma Foundation run by Dudu Myeni. Is she in trouble here?
Of course, you know that as a rule, as law enforcement agencies, we never mention the individuals because we are not investigating individuals. We are investigating transgressions, and those transgressions would lead us to people who have broken the law. So at the time we have the relevant warrants, we'll execute them and we'll make the actions public, and people will know who exactly we are investigating. So those names will be known at the time we take action. Yeah. And I doubt that that time is too far.
Yeah. All right. So you can't say whether we'll see politicians from the EFF, for example, being indicted. The report also identified Brian Shivambu, allegedly the brother of the EFF's Floyd Shivambu, as the recipient of money. The legitimacy of the work done there was questioned.
No, as I said to you, we must remember we don't want to be accused of being on a witch hunt against certain people. We are just following the facts. We're following evidence. Wherever evidence leads us, we'll go there. But at the time, for now, we are busy with the evidence. We'll see at the end. Once we get to the end, we'll apply for the relevant actions to take place, and then those people will have to appear before court. So the NPA and the Hawks are investigating, and as I said to you, they are following evidence, and once that evidence leads to particular individuals, and those are the people then would subsequently appear in court.
All right, very quickly then, finally, Ms. Ngwema, the timeline here, when will the trial get underway? And you said the new arrests aren't that far away. Can you give us a more specific timeline?
Timeline in terms of the case, the 7 accused will appear tomorrow. The dates will be decided before the magistrate. You must remember, the case must go to trial at the High Court. So those things will be taken care of. I don't want to circumvent those kinds of processes. Further, even with arrests, when we make them as we have done today, you will know we'll invite you to a court where you will see the process being transparent. But for now, we cannot give those deadlines or timelines. We'll only know when we take that action. We want to speak through our actions. We don't want to advertise certain things, but people will see when we take actions that this is what has transpired.
All right, sure, a big conviction today. That was spokesperson for the National Prosecuting Authority, Sipho Ngwema.